to Full Court Fits, the show that takes you around the world of NBA fashion while also bringing you the latest, greatest, biggest news of sneaker culture today. We're back for season 3. It's Big Waz. Let's go. All right, let's get right into Copper Drop. First up, we got Russell Westbrook. Here, he's rocking his own brand, which I always love. Honor the Gift t-shirt. He's rocking a brand called Cease and Desist on the leather pants. And my favorite part of this is the Doc Marten boots. Look, you're not going to be able to afford $3,000 leather pants. Not that you would even want a pair of leather pants, but I think it's cool that Russ's brand, which is does really well, is priced very reasonably. And so if you want to go out and cop an Honor the Gift t-shirt, you can do so for $50. Doc Marten boots cost you $80. I love this. This is Russ, showing his individual personal style, which we encourage everybody to do, but he's not doing it in this ridiculous, let's go to the Europeans and let's let them tell us exactly how we should look, what we should wear, and spend $10,000 on one outfit to do so. This is pretty cool, man. He's showing his personality, but not doing just the typical awful high-end NBA stuff. So I'm definitely copping this fit. Next up is, a guy who's been featured on the show many, many times in the past. And oftentimes I've given Kyle Kuzma his props for the things that he's worn. But here, it's hard for me to do that. And it's directly related to the stuff we just talked about with Russ. Every single article of clothing this guy has on right now is from Balenciaga. What is Kyle Kuzma injecting into this that is in reference to his own self, his own ideas of what he wants to express? It's just a dude who's got tons of money to waste, goes into Balenciaga and be like, all right, you guys tell me exactly what I should wear, how I should look. And that's corny to me. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling this fit. I don't like this idea that NBA players have sort of stuck to of just being like, yeah, we want to communicate to the high-end fashion world. Literally the definition of elitism. And by definition, it's 40 people on the whole planet who this look is speaking to and is supposed to appeal to. Whatever. I guess there are people who are into high fashion and that kind of stuff as a hobby. But honestly, this is so just elitist and so against my everyman nature and sensibilities. I gotta drop this fit. And last, but certainly not least, or maybe actually in this case, this is my least favorite outfit of the bunch, is Ben Simmons, who he kind of epitomizes this Mr. Potato Head approach to style and individual aesthetic. A hodgepodge of the most trendy, expensive, famous brands that are out there. Acne Studios, a brand that I love. Again, I'm a fan of what Acne does. Same with Dries, same with Dior. The pants are by this brand called Tour Designs. Again, it's just a hodgepodge of really expensive stuff that his stylist said, here, Ben, wear this. There's no rhyme or reason. There's nothing about his Australian heritage or some of the things that he might have picked up while being in America or any of that. It's just a dude who's really rich, slapping stuff on, and we're supposed to think this looks cool, that this is supposed to resonate with anybody who's an NBA fan, and I think it just falls so flat, and nobody thinks this is dope, and that's why this fit has to get dropped. All right, we gotta welcome in our very first guest of the season, the Ringer's own J. Kyle Mann. Wanted to get into some sneaker stuff with you today. And first up, this weekend, on October the 22nd, Adidas is re-releasing the Adidas Crazy One Sunshine, they're calling this colorway, AKA Kobe's signature shoe, what we back in the days called the moon boot. People of our age who sort of fell in love with Kobe's game, we were falling in love with his game around the time that he was wearing this shoe. So there's this nostalgic feeling, one. And two, just my opinion, I thought Adidas was being very clever and a little cute, that while Kobe's estate was fighting with Nike, which since they've reconciled, but while they were fighting with Nike, Adidas was like, we're going to bring back our Kobe catalog and see how Kobe's fans and the people feel about it. What feelings and thoughts do you get thinking about this shoe?
I mean, first of all, I believe this is the shoe that he wore in the commercial where he was like riding the crotch rocket through LA traffic to get to Staples Center, and he gets off and because those shoes just kind of, there are some shoes that, like, I'm not like into the motorcycles or motorcycle culture, but there are some shoes that look good. And I think motorcyclists know this. This is one that does, just because of the sleekness. But I think something too that doesn't always come across for people who maybe are a little younger is that, like, that Adidas era is when Kobe was on those Lakers teams that were like just filled with like young talent, like Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel. Like, they hadn't quite made that leap to like championship level with like Phil Jackson. So I always think about like Slam Magazine and like those Adidas Kobe's with like the little googly-eyed logo. It was like Kobe was like playful, fun. It's kind of like Morant is now, you know? He hadn't become serious title. He was serious. We just didn't totally know it yet, but it was just real fun. And that's what I think of when I see these shoes, even though they didn't really sell super well. I remember you could get them for really cheap. They sat on the shelf a lot. That's what I think of when I see them. It kind of has like a Tesla truck vibe to it, where when you're, you're looking at it and you're just like, that isn't a shoe. That shouldn't work. I think John Wall had a little phase where he was wearing these off and on too, which kind of is fitting, I think.
All right, next up in Sneak Peek, man, a pair of Dunks Nike is restocking, one being the Syracuse low-top Dunks and low-top Kentucky Dunks. Kyle, having you on the show today, I felt like it'd be nice to talk about this, being that you are the bluegrass bully of the Ringer. And so, one, before I get your thoughts on these sneakers, I want to just know take your temperature on the current Dunk wave. Where does it sit with you? What's your history with the Dunk? How do you feel about the hysteria around this model right now that's kind of been going on for like 2 years now?
I feel like you're just like winding me up like one of those like those monkeys. I love Dunks. That's what I would open up with saying. Like, I love them. I love them. I love them. I was making fun of these on Twitter. This is the
not the genuine article. Talk to the folks about what you hold in your hand.
These are these gray. I forget the exact title, but they came out. They were $160. I was kind of chiding these a little on Twitter, like saying that was a lot. That to me, that was a little much for a low, because the translucent bottom and stuff like that. I was talking with our guy Bing Cruz. I was like, I don't like taking care of translucent bottoms generally.
It's a lot of work.
That's why I don't wear Jordan 11s a whole lot. I love them. Wise, I got these other box. These materials, my man, are really, really nice. Like, really, really nice. No, I love Dunks, dude. I love the Kentucky Dunks. The quality for me has kind of been one of the things. That's my first bullet point about Dunks. The quality has kind of been all over the place. I had the high top Kentucky Dunks recently. I don't know if you've had any of those lately. They're just like...
Bro, I haven't had a Dunk 2012, 2013, maybe. Last time I owned a Dunk.
Yeah, the quality were really, really terrible. Like, they hurt to put on. They weren't like well made, you could tell. I was showing you though, I've bought these multiple times. These are like from the 90s and they are still totally intact. I used to play pickup outside in these. Like, they're indestructible.
There you go.
So
show the people that you got actual stripes in this Dunk game. Kyle,
no, I'm for real. I don't just talk about it on Twitter.
Look at
this.
Panda Dunk wearing.
No, I see people. Look at this.
We're not doing that over
Waz,
here.
look at. Do you see that? Waz, do you see? That's scorched earth. Look at that. I played in these. I know I look goofy, but I am really about this. So
I love it.
The hype beast movement with the Dunks has annoyed me, if I'm being frank. Yeah, and like, it sucks that I can't go pick them up for as cheap anymore. I like that people are liking good shoes and things like that. I have another pair I showed you called like the Nike East Rivalry Pack, which is like white with like a spray paint midsole. Those are super sick, really high quality leather. When they're nice and they're done right, I love it. I don't know. How much of this is just me being a grumpy older dude, Waz? Should I just cool it with this? What do you think? Or is it really?
So here's my thing. While I'm annoyed by Dunk hysteria, I'm also heartened by the idea that Nike would put more out and not make it so it's this super coveted, artificially limited, anti-democratic shoe. right? I know there's a segment of sneaker people that want the shoes that they're wearing to feel special, which I just think is a poisonous way to look at a shoe, any shoe, because here's my thing that I'll say to everybody, and I try to say it to as many people as possible. No one shoe can be special when they're putting out tens of millions of them every single weekend. How can one shoe be that special if they're just constantly putting out other shoes? Like, you can have a shoe that you like and enjoy no matter what. Like, no one shoe is gonna make or break you, and I really want that idea to be impressed upon people, right? Yes, sure, I do roll my eyes, you know, when you're at the kids store in West Hollywood and it's like these freaking 19-year-olds buying sneakers that cost $350 and you know they didn't work a day in their life to buy them things, right? Like, I understand the annoyance of that, but I do like the idea of Nike making this stuff that everybody can get their hands on. If somebody likes a shoe and they feel like that shoe's gonna make them feel good and look good, they can go out and get it. So it's hard for me to really chide the hysteria around it when Nike is responding by making it available for the people who want to participate. But I will point and laugh at any of you if I see you in public with a pair of Panda Dunks. Moving on. So, Kyle, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is this year's Nike basketball offerings for two reasons. One, I'm a big fan of the KD 15 and the LeBron 20s of this year. I really think they did a good job of those kicks. And two, being that I'm somebody who grew up obsessed with Nike basketball sneakers. And to my mind, the reason I'm a fan of sneakers is because of Nike basketball from the 90s and even the early 2000s. And to see them sort of slough off of caring about it, it seems, as a company in the past years, and more recently showing some level of, I don't know, want to when it comes to putting resources and promoting and marketing their new Nike basketball product. I think it's really cool what they've done with these two signature sneakers.
I don't really go in sneaker shops as much, and I did just for I did this just for you, Woz. I went over to Dick's Sporting Goods and I was looking. Now I couldn't find
weather reporting here on Full Court Fits.
Literal, yeah. So LeBron 20. I'm torn on it. I was writing down some of my favorites. I mean, my favorite LeBrons are like the Zoom Gins, like the first ones, the 2s. But there was a big run that I was not a fan of. Like, I like the LeBron 9 lows. They usually start with like the tank high top one and then introduce the low when he goes into the playoffs. He starts wearing those, and they flipped it this time. I don't know. I wanted to ask you, do you think that it's like, are you really in on like the silhouette and the aesthetic of these?
I'm into the silhouette and the aesthetic, and just cause I think it's an admission of the times. LeBron traditionally, players used to wear his sneakers on court all the time. And in the past years, that hasn't been the case. Like, they're just wearing Kobe's. They were even wearing Kyrie's and Paul George's. And I think the trend has been towards a lower cut, if not mid cut, right? And LeBron has been steadfast in like high top, high top, high top, high top. So I think it's cool to be like, you know what? This is the wave of the future and the present. And so we're going to acknowledge that in the design language. And yeah, I think it's cool. Like, I like it. It's something I'm definitely gonna get a pair when they go on sale. And I'm gonna wear them, you know what I mean? Like, around, so I'm not even gonna wear them to hoop or work out. Like, I'm gonna wear them around town. And the same thing with the KDs. I already bought a pair and I've enjoyed the hell out of them. And yeah, so I understand what you're saying. I just think it's an admission of this is what the future looks like in basketball design language.
Yeah, I like the way they look. They seem like they're going to perform well. I'm excited to try them on. I'm a low top guy. The KDs, I really love the EYBL like PEs that I think you and I have talked about before too. I'd love to try those. KD's kind of gone away from the low cut. He's kind of gone towards mid lately though, I've noticed.
Yeah, I'm into both of these silhouettes, and like I said, they're allocating more resources into the sneakers themselves, and I'm just into it. And so I'm happy with the results this year. I hope they keep it up.
Definitely.
All right, that was our show for this week. Make sure you check back every single Friday afternoon on Full Court Fits on the Ringers YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. We'll be back with a bunch of dope guests, bunch of sneaker stuff, bunch of clothes stuff, just having a great time all season long. See you guys next week. Peace.